Yo, what's going on, guys? It's your boy Pup. We are back for a draft analysis for the first season of the SDPA. Was something else now, got rebranded. Whatever. We are a part of the Luxury Ball division, which is basically their, YouTube required league, which is going to be fun. But we are doing this and the VGC portion of it. So I'll have both of these draft analysis in this video. So if you want to skip to the other one, I will probably have a timestamp, at least in the description, for when we get switched over to it. But I'll just start going over the team. We had a pretty late drafting spot. We have 16 teams, and I was the 13th, something like that. 16, 15, 14, 13. Yeah, 13. I can count. So a lot of the options were off the board. I really wanted to draft Gouging Fire, and they got picked up right before me, which is a little bit unfortunate. Dragapult didn't go until the number 10 team or something like that, and Iron Valiant was pretty late as well. But in this league, we had stuff like Spectrator was allowed. Basically, Spectrator, Dragapult, Iron Val are mostly the things that are a little bit, on the fence of whether they should be allowed or not. But it's, this is totally fine. We also have rules for Terra, which are pretty important to go over, so I'll go over them before I get into my first pick. We have, low tier Terra, basically, or I think we have some amount of points we can put into it, like 16 points or something, and then each mon gets 3 Terra types that we have to declare. Not my favorite way to do it, but it still is a way that I find fun. I'm not a huge fan of the high tier Terra rules, although we are starting up a league pretty soon with those high tier Terra. But let's get right into our first pick. We're going to start off, like I said, a lot of stuff that I wanted to draft. It was off the board. Really wanted to build the team around Gouging Fire. But I decided that I would go back to a Pokemon that I had a great season with. Maybe my best season of all time in the PWC. And that's going to be Meowscarada. Obviously a great Pokemon here with the Protean ability that really makes this Pokemon. Has great coverage with Flower Trick, Knockoff, U-Turn, Triple Axle, Low Kick. All those sort of things. It also has spikes, has Sucker Punch. It has a great utility moveset as well as just an offensive threat with a great attack stat as well. But this mon is super duper nice to have, insane speed, so we don't really have to worry about that throughout the rest of our build, which is pretty good. And I can run it so many different ways that it's just always going to be useful. Even we're playing Mono Fire week 1 and it's coming to Mono Fire, which is kind of funny. But next up, it got back to me, and I decided that I wanted to draft Quaquaval. I thought this mon is very, very broken. It's pretty nice in this game, especially, obviously, I just said I'm playing Mono Fire, so Quaquaval is going to be really, really insane there. But I think it's a great mon because it has so much sweeping potential with the Moxie boost, and it has Aqua Step that boosts its speed. I just think it's a great mon overall. And there's nothing that's going to stop me from just setting up a Swords Dance and being able to sweep. Does only have like an 85 base speed, which is not ideal, but it's still a really, really good stat. It has a nice typing as well with water fighting. I could have gotten Urshifu Rapid Strike, but I felt like this Pokemon was just better overall for what I wanted to do. And I'm pretty happy in the fact that I drafted that. Next up, it got back to me. And, a lot of really good stuff that I wanted to grab with it was taken. I thought about potentially going for, Enamorus again, like I've done in the past. Even stuff like Ogerpon Cornerstone is a Pokemon that I wanted to use. Iron Hands and Tinglu both got on the same team, which were kind of unfortunate. But at this point, Iron Crown was still available, so I had to snatch that Pokemon up. Really excited to use the Iron Crown. I think it's a super fun Pokemon, great typing with that Psychic and Steel sort of type. So it's a great Tachyon Cutter is super duper powerful, so you can run this thing in Choice Specs and go crazy. You can also run it, Assault Vest. It has Volt Switch, so it can pivot around. You can run it as a Calm Mind Stored Power sort of set, which is, that Draft League, Terra Latias sort of set, something that people like to run because it's pretty good even in the draft format. But it gets, those Calm Mind sort of stuff. It also has agility. You can boost its speed with a booster energy if you want as well. Just a really solid Pokemon all around that I have not used in draft so far, and I really, really wanted to do so. So I picked it up right here. Then in the 4th round, I'm pretty sure I picked up a Pokemon that I think is a little bit overrated, but being here this late, I thought I really needed to pick it up, and that's going to be Garchomp. a great ground type to have, a great hazard setter, getting spikes and stealth rocks. It's also a great sweeper with sword stance sets or scale shot, or all of the above. It's just a great dragon type and a great ground type that I don't really get. You can run it super offensively, super defensively, any sort of stuff in between, and it's just a good Pokemon. So I figured, might as well draft it. It's pretty expensive for like 17 points. Meowscarada was 18, Quackable 16, Iron Crown 15. So we are, being pretty high spenders at this point, but I think this mon was really, really solid. So I want to give it a shot, and hopefully it'll do me well. After that, I decided that I wasn't going to take any chances on my Terra Captain, because this is the Pokemon that I was really building the whole team around. This Pokemon is absolutely insane with Terra. I click Terra Psychic Expanding Force with it, and I just get a kill, and that's going to be Indeedee. I got the male version. I think it's a little bit more special attack invested instead of SPDA or something like that. But this Pokemon is crazy just setting up the psychic terrain. If they don't have a dark type on their team, Specs Expanding Force just destroys everyone. Has a decent speed stat in base 95, so I'm pretty happy about that. And its special attack is not bad at 105, and when you get those boosted expanding forces, they go crazy. It also can usually eat any hit on the special side with base 95 SPDA as well, so really, really solid. Obviously get to beat by ground or beat by dark types pretty badly, so we have Terra Fairy and Terra Fighting on there, just to throw them for the loop there. And then Terra Psychic is what I'm going to bring to a lot of games, just to have an always like nuke button, especially if they do not bring a dark type, or if I take out their dark type with prediction with Dazzling Gleam or something like that earlier in the game. Now next up, I needed some more defensive prowess on the team, and I also wanted to grab a fairy type because they always go off the board really fast. So I went and got a Galarian Weezing, who I think is going to be really nice. Gives me a defogger on the team. Now obviously I'm not going to want to defog the spikes and rocks that I can set up with the rest of my Pokemon, but it'll still be pretty nice to have that option, because Weezing is a Pokemon that can come to basically every game. It's just that good. Great physical Pokemon especially. But it's nice to be able to set Toxic Spikes or just Toxic or Willows their entire team. It's just great always. And Sludge Bomb, having the chance to poison, is a great stab that you can just spam into basically everyone, which is really, really nice. Another Pokemon that I really wanted to try in this league was the Cerulege. It has a base 85 speed, so kind of the same as Quackable, but it's really nice. I like the weak armor sets, doubling your speed if you get hit once, and you can just Sword Stance. You have Shadow Sneak as priority if something does outspeed you, but you have the Bitter Blade, which gives you a ton of HP back. Poltergeist is incredibly strong too. I think it has access to like close combat as a sort of coverage option. So, but really, really nice Pokemon. A lot of the time it likes to run Focus Sash, potentially Air Balloon to get rid of an Earthquake weakness, anything like that. And it can function as a late game sweeper, or just a really nice wall breaker, which I thought my team kind of needed. I have options, with like Choice Band and Meowscarada or Specs on the Iron Crown, but I felt like getting some more immediate damage that doesn't always require setup would be really nice, and I think that Cerulege would be pretty nice in that role with its base 125 attack stat. After that, I went into my other Z Captain, or not Z Captain, sorry, I'm doing an Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon Draft League too, which you guys will see in a little bit. But we got another Terra Captain, which is going to be Zoroark. I think it goes pretty well on this team. I have the Meowscarada, who can U-turn around, so I can disguise the Zoroark as that. In some games, I might even go Overgrow on purpose on Meowscarada, just so the Protean doesn't proc and Zoroark isn't, shown out there. But it's just a solid Pokemon overall. Has a 105 base speed that I thought my team really needed, because right now I have a huge gap between Garchomp at 102 and Meowscarada at 123. So I at least needed one or two more things to fill that sort of gap, because it's not enough just to have Meowscarada, even though it can come to basically every game. But on this mon, we have Terra Dark, Terra Poison, and Terra Fire. Has Sludge Bomb and Flamethrower, so always good. I can take out fairies or take out steals, whatever I need. But Terra Dark is really, really nice to have that Super Stab. I really love Super Stab in this format, especially on offensive Pokemon. I think you basically do enough damage that it doesn't even matter about resist or anything. So, you know, Specs Super Stab on the Dark Pulse is going to be hurting a lot of Pokemon and taking a lot of lives if I'm able to use it correctly. But I thought it was just pretty nice because it forces a lot of 50-50s, especially like I can lead something like the Garchomp or Zoroark where they have to, you know, think, am I going to set up rocks? Am I going to set up spikes? Am I going to set up a Swords Dance and Scale Shot all over you? Or am I just a Zoroark that's going to blow you back with a Choice Specs Dark Pulse on turn 1? Next up, I drafted a little bit more speed because I was obviously lacking, as I was just saying. So we grabbed Chinchino. Gives me a little bit more hazard removal, which is going to be, you know, that tidy up so I can get past like a Golden Go or something like that. But it's a solid Pokemon, you know, having Technician boosted Tail Slaps, you just rock a loaded dice on there, and it goes crazy. If you do get that tidy up, you get an extra speed boost and attack boost. So it honestly is a very, very, you know, reliable attacker. It's a little bit better than Mouse Hold because you're not always relying on that Population Bomb. Has to hit 10 times and is super easy to counter with a Rocky Helmet in Draft League, where Chinchino gets Bullet Seed and Rock Blast, which both don't make contact, so you have better coverage options and you know, don't just immediately get punished by Rocky Helmet and die in one shot. But yeah, Chinchino pretty solid. Obviously not like the best Pokemon, but it fills a role I need on my team with that removal and a 115 base speed. Then my last two picks are Pokemon that kind of just, you know, they round out the team a little bit. I didn't want to rely on Iron Crown being my only steal, as I might use it more offensively in some matchups where I want maybe another Fairy Resist potentially. So I grabbed Berserker, you know, low speed, but it gives me another Rocker, gives me that other Fairy Resist. Has a very, very strong attack, which is really nice. I like Choice Banded sets. I think Assault Vested sets are really good as well because it has a great defense. So pair it with an Assault Vested Spadef, and this thing is really hard to take down if you're not hitting it super effectively. But yeah, it just hits really, really hard with Iron Head. It has that Steely Spirit, so it can go extra hard, or it has Tough Claws and Battle Armor if I really don't want to get crit. But I can U-turn, you know, I can fake out, knock off, close combat, all those fun things. I just think it's a great mon to have in the format, and I think it was like 3 points, something like that. No, it was 2 points. So yeah, definitely a steal at 2 points. But to round out the draft, I only had 3 points left. So I wanted to grab a Pokemon that, you know, kind of helped with the speed on my teams a little bit, and maybe, you know, that hazard game a little bit, forcing opponents to wear a lot of boots so I don't have to worry too much. But I can knock them off with Masquerada anyways. But that's going to be Spidops, just a really good sticky web Pokemon, making sure my opponents have to prep. I do have a ton of hazard control on this team with, you know, triple spikes, double toxic spikes, and like double rocks. I think is really, really good. So unless my opponent has crazy removal with like a Great Tusk or an Iron Treads, I can, you know, reliably either count on them to run boots, or I can hazard stack them and just destroy with, you know, Choice Band and Masquerada, Choice Specs, Iron Crown. So yeah, that's going to be my team for the Luxury Ball division of the SDPA. I hope you guys will enjoy the season. It's going to be a really fun one with a lot of people that I've never played before. There's maybe like 1 or 2 people in here that I've actually, you know, had the chance to play. And I think this is going to be really fun to just, you know, branch out a little bit and play some great opponents. But yeah, that's going to be about it. If you guys want to see the VGC draft analysis, that'll be right after this. But if not, see you guys in the first week. So we are here for my VGC draft analysis now. And basically, I have not played VGC since Sun and Moon. And even then, I was never a very good VGC player. And I assume that I'm not going to be very good here. I took over a team after the draft ended and kind of changed it up, but there were just a lot of scraps on the board. Nothing really, really good. I got lucky with a couple of the Pokemon that I had on the team to begin with, but basically my team is bad, and I'm going to have to, you know, hope I can pull off some amazing plays and just huge brain to a couple of victories. But the rules on this division are a little bit different. We have 10 Pokemon, 1 S tier, 3 A tiers, 3 B tiers, 2 C tiers, and 8 D tier. Anyone can Terra is like free open Terra. And, you know, just item claws, basic VGC stuff, even though I don't even know basic VGC stuff. We play at level 50, you know, it's doubles, bring 4, best of 3 sort of thing. But yeah, that's about it for that. Let's just start with what I'm going over. Start with my S tier, which is going to be Whimsicott. Obviously, one of the better Pokemon, better support Pokemon in VGC, I would think. Has Tailwind with Prankster, also has Fake Out sort of support. Encore is really nice. Moonblast is solid damage as just a fairy type. It gets a lot of other fun stuff that I can use in Draft League, like Grassy Terrain, Worry Seed, sort of things, but it has a lot of options. This Pokemon likes to run Covert Cloak a lot of the time, so it can't get faked out, but I also like Terra Ghost just to avoid that. It likes to run Focus Sash as well, so it can't get O-Code in one shot. Obviously, that is what O-Code means. But yeah, I just feel like it's a pretty solid Pokemon. This is the one like great piece that was already on my team, and it matches up well into a lot of other teams, and it really synergizes with the rest of the Pokemon. Kind of built around this Whimsicott, and hopefully that doesn't bite me in the butt. And next up, we go to our A tiers. First of all is going to be the Aqua Tauros. Just a really good Pokemon with really solid stats and a good typing. Water fighting is really good stabs, and water is just obviously a great defensive type. The Intimidate is insane in VGC just to lower those attack stats. That's why Incineroar is so notoriously good. But yeah, just very, very solid. With the Tailwind support, it's going to outrun most of the metagame. I can run bulk up sets, which are really nice. I also could potentially, run Kudchu with berries to make sure I have a lot of longevity with this Pokemon. I think it also gets some other fun moves. It might get like Wide Guard or Quick Guard or something like that. Not exactly sure of what this Pokemon does too much, but I'm here for it, and I think it's going to be a pretty good Pokemon, especially because it was an A tier, so it must be good. Our second A tier is going to be Hisuian Typhlosion. Now, I know there's a lot of Typhlosion allegations going out there, but my Typhlosion is different. Hashtag not all Typhlosions, okay? But this is my Hisuian Typhlosion, which has a decent speed stat and a great attack stat. Really just wants to click Eruption. And with the Tailwind support, getting Prankster Tailwind, Typhlosion goes crazy. Does get kind of beat by a Wide Guard sort of Pokemon, but I think it's really, really solid. You just click Specs, Terra Fire, Eruption, and you can destroy most teams. You can also like get Sunny Days off with Whimsicott sort of thing to get some extra damage on that, which makes it insanely strong. It also has access to stuff like Shadow Ball. You have that single target sort of stuff, Flamethrower, Shadow Ball, Infernal Parade if you even want to go for burns like that, and also has like the Hex sort of thing going on with it. But it also likes to run Heat Wave just to make sure you don't, take a lot of damage and then you can't do any damage with your eruptions. Our third A tier is going to be Klefki, another prankster Pokemon, so maybe doesn't go exactly the best with Whimsicott, but I thought it was really nice to get like dual screens sort of thing. I also like the idea of having Fairy Lock so no Pokemon can switch. It kind of makes the decisions a little bit easier. And then I think the Thunder Wave support is really, really nice in this sort of format where, the games are pretty fast, but making sure that we have the actual speed on our side is always really good. So you have that immediate, Prankster T-Wave to lower their stats, which is really nice. I know there's a lot more stuff that this Klefki can do, but I'm not like exactly up to shape with it. I don't know exactly what it does, but I think it'll be really solid as a role piece on our team, something that forces a lot of prep out of our opponents. Now moving on to the B tiers, this is where the team, might be a little suspicious, especially for VGC. We're starting off with Noivern, just a really fast Pokemon that hits like hurricanes, which are really nice. It also does help that it has Tailwind support, so you don't always have to go with Whimsicott, something that seems like very, very obvious. This Pokemon can hit really hard with Draco, has U-turn to like pivot out, Flamethrower to hit Steel sort of thing. I do really, really like pushing like, just Tailwind with this Pokemon, but the ability to frisk the opponent's items are really nice. You're getting a lot more usage out of that, especially in this format where, you're going through 2 or potentially 3 games all the time. So with Noivern, you lead that Pokemon, you get to see 2 items on their side. You know that none of the other Pokemon on their team can have those items. So it's really nice just to get that information out of there. And it's a really good speed tier Pokemon that can really just help me make sure I don't have to rely on Whimsicott all the time. Next B tier Pokemon is going to be Malamar. Synergizes really well with a Tailwind, getting that speed boost because it doesn't really do anything with Contrary. But that contrary superpower is really strong. It can also topsy-turvy, kind of change stats. So if I go for overheat Typhlosion sort of thing, I can topsy-turvy that and get +2 special attack. And then if I click Eruption off of that, that goes crazy. We also can like skill swap the contrary onto like Typhlosion or Tauros, so that's clicking close combat sort of thing. Also gets Trick Room, so I wanted to have a little bit of a Trick Room option to the team, or at least be able to kind of counter other Trick Room options. Obviously not the best sort of Pokemon for that, but I think it's pretty solid anyways. And you know, good to be able to knock off, do all those sort of things. My last B tier is going to be Hydrapple, just because I thought it was nice to have that Trick Room option, being really, really slow. And it hits like a truck, really likes to run that like Assault Vest potentially, and I like to use the Terra on this because the Grass Dragon is not that good of a typing, and you can get some good coverage and catch your opponents off guard, which is really nice. It's also just, you know, nice to have a Pokemon with a Regenerator a little bit if I do want options like switching out, doing that sort of thing. And obviously, as I said, you know, the Trick Room option, whether it's me setting up my own Trick Room with Malamar, or if I'm taking advantage of our opponent's Trick Room, or preventing them from setting it up in the first place. Moving on to our 2 C tiers, we're going to start off with Shiftry. This Pokemon has Wind Rider, which is really, really nice with Tailwind, so it gets that +2 speed and then a +1 attack boost. It hits really hard with those Leaf Blades and knockoffs at that point. It also can Fake Out, so some more Fake Out support on the team is really nice since we didn't have much of that before. But yeah, really, really solid Pokemon that just, you know, fills a role. And for a C tier, I think it's really solid. You look at other teams that have stuff like Oricorio, you know, they have Diplin, Hisuian Electrode as their C tiers. And I look at, you know, this Shiftry and I say, I feel like I got a pretty good steal with this one. And then my other C tier is going to be Cinccino, kind of patching up the speed tiers as well. Kind of like why I drafted this into the Luxury Ball division. But it's pretty nice. I mean, it gets to hit really, really hard with the tail slaps. And, you know, that's basically all it's really doing. It's not doing too much. It's just hitting pretty hard with that skill link or with Technician and loaded dice. And then last up, my D tier for the VGC League is going to be Stantler. Not a Pokemon you see very often, but it can actually be deceptively bulky with an Eviolite. It does have Trick Room and it has Imprison, which I think is going to be really solid. You can make sure that we don't have to play in Trick Room by imprisoning that. It is faster than most Trick Room users anyways. And it, you know, is solid. You know, you get those Intimidates off. It, you know, works well with the Tauros. You can work under Trick Room or imprisoning those Trick Rooms. And it actually, you know, can be a solid role piece that's very, very bulky with the Eviolite. But that is going to be about it for my team here. Obviously, I am no expert at VGC, and I actually am not very good at all, as you guys will potentially see throughout the couple of games that I have played so far. But I hope you guys enjoy it nonetheless, because it is a nice experience to do a little bit more than just singles. But this isn't the only doubles league that I'm doing, so keep an eye out for a draft analysis of the off season of the YPA soon. That's going to be about it for me. If you guys did enjoy either of these draft recaps, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in week 1. Peace out.